Philippine to become the world's 18th biggest economy in 2050. According to long-term forecasts by London-based, macroeconomic research company Capital Economics, the Philippines is on track to become the world's 18th largest economy by 2050 if it tackles its infrastructure deficit. The Philippines' nominal gross domestic product, GDP, is expected to rise to $4.862 trillion 3 decades from now, according to Capital Economics' Long-Run Economic Outlook report. The Philippines' nominal GDP was the 30th largest in the world in 2019, or before the COVID-19 epidemic inflicted the country's worst post-war recession in 2020. Capital Economics had previously predicted that the Philippines' GDP will increase by 11% this year and next year, owing to the low 2019 base. Its most recent projections showed that by 2050, the Philippines would only be behind the United States, China, India, Germany, Japan, the United Kingdom, Indonesia, France, Canada, Australia, South Korea, Mexico, Russia, Vietnam, Italy, Brazil, and Egypt in terms of nominal GDP at market exchange rates. According to Capital Economics, the Philippines needs to upgrade its abysmal infrastructure in order to realize its economic growth potential. Following average real GDP growth rates of 5% from 2006 to 2010, 6% from 2011 to 2015, and 3.4% from 2016 to 2020, Capital Economics forecasts annual economic growth of 7.9% in 2021 to 2025, 5.3% in 2026 to 2030, and 4.4% in 2031 to 2050. Inflation is expected to remain stable at 2.9% in 2021 to 2025, and 3% in 2026 to 2050. Inflation rates averaged 4.9% from 2006 to 2010, 3% from 2011 to 2015, and 2.9% from 2016 to 2020. The Philippine economy's productivity is expected to expand at a quicker pace of 5.9% in 2021 to 2025, 3.6% in 2026 to 2030, and 3.3% in 2031 to 2050, compared to 2.2% in 2006 to 2010 and 2016 to 2020. Productivity increased by 3.8% between 2011 and 2015. According to Capital Economics forecasts, the developing economy will be aided by an expanding population, a massive domestic consumer and labor market estimated to reach 117 million by 2025, 124 million by 2030, and 144 million by 2050. While the Philippines would surpass Thailand's nominal GDP by 2050, which was ranked 23rd in 2019, its ascension would be surpassed by neighbors Indonesia and Vietnam. Indonesia's nominal GDP would rise from 16th in 2019 to 7th in 2050. Meanwhile, Vietnam's economy would overtake Thailand, the Philippines, Singapore, ranked 31st in 2019, and Malaysia, ranked 33rd in 2019, to become the 14th largest in 2050, up from 35th in 2019. Malaysia's GDP would be ranked 26th in 2050, Thailand's 31st, and Singapore's 40th. On a nominal GDP per capita basis, Singapore's lower population would provide the island state an advantage, allowing it to have the highest individual share of the economy in ASEAN by 2050, at $233,663 per person. By the middle of the 20th century, Indonesia's nominal GDP per capita was projected to be $36,314, Vietnam's was $56,048, Malaysia's was $67,460, and Thailand's was $36,011, all higher than the Philippines. During a webinar last week, Capital Economics chief Asia economist Mark Williams stated that manufacturing and export-led growth would benefit Bangladesh, India, and Vietnam in the long run. According to Capital Economics, India's GDP will rise from 5th to 3rd by 2050, while Bangladesh's would rise from 38th to 20th. In the instance of the Philippines, Capital Economics senior Asia economist Gareth Leather alluded to a 2014 research in which he stated the country's low costs and improving business environment might help it become a manufacturing powerhouse over the next decade.